Well, there's some people you ought to know. Don't worry because he will say hello for you. Here we go. It's the Ferg Neil Show.
Yep, coming through my headphones. Yeah.
I feel like I should get the phone up just for memory's sake.
Just for nostalgia reasons.
Rhys, we're almost halfway through the festival.
Oh,
How are you feeling? Are you feeling
almost.
good?
I keep, at the end of my show every night, I say, like, you know, like, I recommend shows that the audience should go and see.
Yeah.
And then, but I always like say, you know, we're about halfway, and it's only last night that I go, oh, fuck, we're not even halfway. It's fine. Like, I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit tired, but
Yeah.
it's mainly because of everything around the shows. Like,
Okay.
the shows don't actually make you very tired. Like, it's an hour.
Yeah.
Harden up. But it's like
1 a.m. at Max Watts.
yeah, oh no, because I live here now, so I'm going home a lot.
Yeah,
it's really
okay.
great.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, yeah.
But I am doing a lot of like late shows.
Yeah.
And early shows. Like there'll be the ones that ruin you are the days where you have to leave the house at like in a suit and stuff at 10 o'clock and you get home at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And not had a drink in that time. And so yeah, so you just get home and also for some reason my partner and I decided to get a puppy.
Okay. Recently?
Like the first week of the festival.
Wow, that's brave.
Because we're idiots. And I was like, it'll be fine, and he was like, it'll be fine. I had a puppy when I was a kid, but I was a kid. I didn't have to do any of the things. Like I didn't have to clean up the piss and the shit and all that kind of stuff. So now I have to do that.
I want to get a new dog. It sounds so like materialistic. I want to get a new dog, but like my old dog died a year ago. But he was like 15 years old, so like he had a good run.
It's a good run.
But a dog is like a really good. It gives you purpose.
Oh, absolutely, and there's something to come home to.
Yeah, which is the saddest thing you could say.
Yeah. Yep.
And especially to your partner, like, this is what gives me purpose.
Yeah,
However.
yeah, you're nothing to me. I've seen you every day for 7 years. This is a new thing.
I didn't know you'd moved to Melbourne.
Only like about 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow, yeah. Whereabouts is that?
Live in Coburg.
I live in Coburg too.
Really?
Yeah.
I live near Batman Station. That's
Okay.
all I'm going to say.
Because, as I said in the elevator, I got back from America like 3 days ago, and I came back to this news about that crazy in our neighborhood, the crazy homophobic rant on the train.
Oh yeah.
Which is insane because I honestly,
line.
I got that sent to me by a friend as I got here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like, oh, this is on your train line. I'm like, oh my god, I'm having Rhys Nicholson on the podcast. Should I?
It's alright. I put it in the show, so that douchebag's
Oh, really? It's
making me money now. In a weird way, he's paying for my wedding. So that's handy.
Which is the most brilliant thing. You should send him. Yeah, you should send him the wedding
Send
video.
him the bill.
I don't think we'll ever find him. But it's weird because Coburg is like, it's such a mixture of like hipsters and like people who will stab you. Because I've been in Coburg for like a year now.
Yeah.
And it's got a very interesting mixture. It's almost
It's
gentrified.
very family and very not family at the same time. But I really like it. It'll be interesting to see how it changes over the next 10 years, gentrification-wise. Well, the fact that 2 gays have just moved in means that it's happening.
Yeah.
2 gays have just bought a house in the area. It's going to happen.
And hopefully we'll push that guy out. As this is the
Yeah.
only time gentrification is a good thing.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
homophobes get moved out of the area.
Exactly. Well, see, I don't think they live there.
Okay.
I think they were like from out of state or something because they
Okay.
seemed very like anti-Melbourne.
Yeah, okay. Were you surprised by the coverage it got?
Yeah.
It was insane,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, like super shocked.
You were in a split screen with people.
Yeah, because I put up the thing. This
Yeah.
is 2 times this has happened now. Like the first
Yeah.
one when I went the Prime Minister, and
Yeah.
then the second time with this thing. Like I literally got, and what annoys me the most is I spelt phase wrong.
Okay.
I wrote the wrong phase. I
Yeah.
put PH instead of F.
Okay.
Because apparently, anyways. And so now I still get messages from people going, hey, this is really horrible, but just so you know, you've put the wrong phase there. It's like, I know. Look, the post kicked off before I could delete it when I realised.
It's weird what people care about.
I know. I get it. But it was, I put it up and then, I just figured it'd probably get some retweets or something. And then
Jesus, it really took off.
really kicked off. I was like, oh.
Was it one of those things?
Which was nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
But like, it was also, full on.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you put your phone down for 20 minutes, you pick it up and you're like, oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
The best thing I loved, it like had like this pretty like horrific article about this terrible thing and then Rhys Nicholson is at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
Please come and see my shows. Oh yeah, it didn't happen. I just lied about it for press. Yeah.
Which would have been genius. Yeah. It's going to be a lot more people talking
Yeah.
about the Comeback Station antics there.
Yeah.
I thought about this on the way in. Your parents, so they come and watch your shows? Because I can't imagine like being on stage, and like I've been to a lot of gigs over the comedy festival. I've only been here for 3 days, and I wonder when people see people they know in the audience, do you give that kind of glazed look that a lifeguard does when he's looking over the pool, or do you make
Yeah.
eye contact with them directly?
I just kind of wash over them, I guess.
Okay.
Like a tide. No, like I had some friends in last night. I used to be able to not deal with it,
Okay.
but now it's fine. No,
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
care. I don't care who's in there. My parents usually come. I do tend to not soften it, but
Yeah.
like I'm a little bit maybe less harsh about things.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes if my parents are in there. Friends I don't care about, but you just
Okay.
don't want to. I don't know. You don't want to pay. I think sometimes they don't quite understand that it's a character to some degree.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
when I say, I think they get worried about me. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening in your life? Like, that's fine. That didn't happen.
But so your performative self, would you say, is different to your everyday self?
It's the same. It's just amped up.
Okay.
It's just an amped up version.
Yeah.
like-
Okay.
I always word it as, it's like who. This is a wanky way of saying it, but like.
As I said last time, this is the place to do it. The
Yeah,
university.
exactly. All right.
Step it up.
It's like the version that I wish it's the version of myself I wish I was.
Okay, that's really
Do you know what I mean?
interesting.
Like-
Yeah.
Like more confident in certain situations. And stuff,
Okay. Yeah, because it's interesting. I remember also last time we were talking about that metamorphosis that you've had. I remember I saw that video of you watching your Raw set and kind of
Ooh.
cringing at that.
No,
So,
thank you.
like, how does a comedian develop in that sense from that kind of initial set and doing Raw to now? I remember you had your show nominated for the best show like a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And now like to this show, which is like getting like super hot press about it. Like, how does that progression happen?
Just do it. Like, this sounds really dumb, but just doing it heaps.
Okay.
I gig a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I try and work pretty hard.
Yeah.
Not as hard as others. There are people that work very much harder than me.
Okay.
Very much harder than me, that's where I went with it. But I try, and yeah, just like, I gig most nights.
Yeah. Okay.
Just, and like, work up bits as much as I can, and
Yeah.
work on things, yeah. Because I was bad for ages. I think we talked about that last year. Like, I was
in Newcastle before you came to Sydney, or when you got to Sydney?
when I got to
before
Sydney, I was a pretty shitty comedian for
you
like
got
2
to
or 3 years.
Sydney in 2009, and then you are nominated for Best Newcomer at Sydney Comedy Festival in 2012.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
right.
think that was like, I think that was just being nice.
Okay, but that's a solid.
Yeah, I mean, it was very nice. It was great. I was not great at that time. Like, I was okay.
Okay.
I think they probably saw some promise,
Yeah. Okay.
but I was just angry, and I didn't really have any stage presence yet. Like,
Okay.
I probably had stage presence, but not the material. And so
Okay. Yeah.
I think around that time I was like, right, I'm gonna fix this, and then I
Yeah.
didn't. And then it took Zoe Kim's mum, my wife,
Yeah.
this is like probably 2013 or 14.
Okay.
Was like, we were backstage at a gig, and I was complaining about my material and how I didn't like it anymore. And she
Yeah.
went, well, just change it, and like kind of rode me about it. It was like, just
Okay.
if you don't like it, and she didn't like it either.
Yeah.
Like, we were mates, but she was like, I do not like what you do on stage. And because I was just very aggressive, and
Yeah, okay.
and like I would swear too much, and which I still swear a lot, but I was just crass. Whereas
Yeah.
like, these days I feel like I'm dirty, but I'm not crass.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very poignant observation of yourself to say.
Thank you.
I think, and also, yeah, Zoe comes Mark, because it feels like every time I'm watching a bizarre YouTube video, there's always the Festival Club logo in the background. Like, I
Yeah.
saw you recently lip syncing Steve Smith's
Yep.
press conference, which was amazing. Did
Thank
you?
you.
I think the video cut off, or I cut off, before you got to the moment where he starts weeping. Were you in that bit or not?
Yeah, no, I kept that out. I feel
Yeah,
like that
I
would be a little
God,
too full
when he
on.
starts mentioning his father.
Yeah, I didn't need that. Didn't need that because it went from
Oh yeah, it went to an
it
actual
went
song.
to share. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I do.
yeah.
So for those who
A
don't
dance.
know, which would be most people, which started off about 5 years ago.
Mm.
We started running these lip sync battles at the Festival Club, which is like the kind of late night place where all the comedians go and get drunk.
Weird stuff
And-
happens there late at night.
Yeah, and you can kind of pitch shows throughout the year. And yeah, years ago I was like, what about a lip sync battle? I think that would be really funny. Like at 1 o'clock in the morning, comedians, famous and otherwise, just doing stupid things. And it just kind of kicked off. The
Yeah.
first year people were like, what is this? And now like the place like packs out.
Yeah.
And it's just these, and I host them and they're just really fun because they're really loose, and I'm have to warn people back. I'm like, so when we get out there to the contestants, like, I'm going to be mean to you. I'm sorry about that, but like, it's part of the show. I'm going to come out and I'm just mean to them. And then I do a lip sync demonstration. So yeah, last week I did, Steve Smith's speech that then went into Cher's If I Could Turn Back Time.
At the exact right moment.
Yeah. And then I, like sang to a cricket bat. And then this week I dedicated it to reviewers.
Okay.
And did the Nicki Minaj rap from Monster, all about how much she loves money.
Yeah.
Just fuck reviewers. And then Zoe Kim's my wife again, was in this week's lip sync battle, and she did what was the song? It was either You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman or something like that. And she had Demi Lardner strapped to her under a big dress, and Demi fell out.
Oh my! Is this on video?
Yeah.
Wow! I'm gonna straight away after this one.
Yeah.
So I need to see that.
She crawled out, and Demi crawled out covered in blood.
Oh god!
And then they did a dance, and because Zoe and I are married, there was like a my son moment, and we all hugged on stage, and
that sounds beautiful.
It was beautiful and horrific.
Are you and Zoe still married? Because we would have listeners who perhaps wouldn't be aware of the marriage.
I'll explain that as well.
Because when you say my wife's Zoe, I'm sure.
Wife.
Yeah.
So Zoe Kuzmar is a comedian. She won the Barry the year before last.
Great comic, yeah.
Great, amazing comedian. And we got married a couple of years ago as part of the Melbourne Comedy Festival as like a joke on marriage equality. Like, we've both got partners we've been with for 7 years. And we thought it's interesting that that we can legally get married as two gay people, male and female, but we can't marry the people that we actually like. Yeah. And so we decided to get married, and it was like a big event. Like, it kind of, if you just Google it, and there's videos on it online. Hannah Gadsby was the MC of the wedding. We had Denise Scott and Judith Lucy's Flower Girls.
Yeah.
Just like all the a lot of at the end we decided we needed to sign a will, so we just brought out Will Anderson and signed him, and then pushed him off stage. It was one of those things where we kind of pitched it, and it just kicked off so much, and we kept just kind of saying like, it'd be funny if we could get Will, or it'd be funny if blah blah blah, and people just really nicely just kept saying yes, and just kept doing it, and so it just built into this enormous weird thing.
You do a lot of things, as I said before, they get like a lot of press. Like,
I'm a monster. No, I think I just don't. I don't do it on purpose. Like, I'm not outing to. But the wedding was a different thing. But
you wanted that for press because that was kind of like that was a like, again, the user word pointing, like, it showed the absurdity of what was occurring in Australia at the current time. Yeah,
and I think I just am quite open about things. Yeah. Because then I post things a lot. Like, I don't, I also have a private life, and we don't post there's some people on social media that post like just had sex, just like that type of stuff.
Too much.
Too much. Like, I think I post as the stage person.
Yeah, okay, which is probably a good thing to protect some of your privacy, because imagine like being in the public light, and again with a press conference, like, doesn't it kind of like, oh fuck, like, do I have to share everything, and also being and sharing on stage?
Exactly, and I think it just gives you a bit of, like, last year my show was quite personal. I talked about eating disorders and stuff. Yeah. But I did it through the guise of the stage character, because it kind of gave it a bit more. So it kind of almost made it a bit easier. Yeah. And like a bit, I don't know, like just a bit. It also makes it easier for the audience, because they don't feel like, I think it's interesting to hear stuff about people's lives, but also people like seeing vulnerability, but not in a comedy show necessarily, where you're like, ooh, this is tense. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need, I think, giving it some sort of shape. Whereas Hannah Gadsby is a difference to the rule.
Yeah, Nanette, That's it, because when I was in America, she was in, like, I was just reading the New York Times, as you do, because I'm cultured. Reading the New York Times, and she was on, like, the front of the arts section. I'm like, holy shit.
Kicking off. Neil Gaiman posted about it yesterday.
Oh my god.
Anna Thompson's been going to the show. Yeah. Who else doing Frenchman the other day? Yeah, it's amazing.
Turning into a Netflix special as well.
So I think they filmed it and I think it comes out later in the year.
Yeah, wow.
It's the first, I was talking to her agent about it the other night. It's not technically the first, because I thought it was the first Australian Netflix.
But Jim Jeffries. Yeah.
If that's what we're going with. But
the epitome of masculinity.
It's the Toxic. But it's the first Australian deal.
Yeah, okay.
So it's the first one filmed in Australia.
Yeah.
By an Australian, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I think they filmed it at the Opera House, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's interesting because, that's a very dark show. And I also think
Yeah.
Koala's got a very dark show this year. And talking to Rose Manfeo a couple of days ago, it's interesting, like, when you're on stage, and, like, I'm always curious about this, like, I know there's some stand-up comedians who don't actually enjoy the medium of stand-up. I remember a bit you did a few
Sorry, I've
years
just
ago.
moved the mic stand. Or did I fart?
You'll never know.
You'll never know. You'll know.
I'll know, but I won't say,
Yeah.
I'll
Thanks.
contact the agent and it'll make press.
Yeah.
You did a bit a couple of years ago where you were asking people about what they did because you wanted to kind of reaffirm whether stand-up was the right decision. Do you remember that? Like a couple of years back?
Yeah.
Is that a thing that you often do, like, have I made the right decision?
Oh,
Or is
yeah,
it-
terrifying.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it's like, there's no backup. I have no backup. Absolutely no backup.
No arts degree.
I've been doing this since I was 18.
Yeah.
I didn't go to uni.
Yeah.
I did pretty shitly in school. I mean, I did all right in school.
Yeah.
But I picked all artistic subjects, so they didn't rank well. Like,
Yeah.
I did well in all of them, but they didn't all come together to be a good UAI.
Okay,
I don't know what you guys do here.
I think it's an ATAR.
ATAR. I think I was the last UAI year, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
interesting. Is it? No. Yeah, so, I've got absolutely no backup. I'm not a good producer. I'm not a good... Like, stand-up is the only thing. Stand-up and I can write. But I don't think, if comedy falls through, then I feel like all arts falls through. Like, if I can't do comedy, I'm not going to be able to do anything else.
Yeah, but then there's people like Josh Thomas who, like, abandon stand-up completely and then make a TV show type thing. You know what I mean?
But he abandoned it by choice. Like, I'm saying if...
Okay, I get you, yeah.
Like, he was like, I don't like doing stand-up anymore. We had a big conversation about it once. He just didn't like... And whereas I think the opposite, where he didn't like the night-to-night of it. Okay. Whereas that's what I like about it. And I also like the idea of making a TV show, at least at this point, or making a... I mean, look, if someone wants to give me $1 million to make a TV show...
Netflix listening.
I'll fucking make that. I'll make a TV show for you. I don't care. Come at me.
It'll get a lot of press, yeah.
Exactly. I'll know how to sell it. I'll pretend to get attacked on the train. Or a tram this time. I don't know. Whatever you want. Maybe a plane. Get the feds involved. But I like the immediacy of stand-up, and I like if you fuck up a line, you fix it the next day. Or whereas you write a book or you write a TV show, it's forever. A book is just I would love to one day write a book, but just also it seems like a lot of work. And also just I don't know, it'll just be on the shelves and then that's it. And then it's in an op shop in 10 years.
Jerry Seinfeld talked about that when he made the Bee Movie. It took him 5 years. The movie got no critical acclaim. And he said, why would I do that again if I can do stand-up tonight and get laughs? Like, it's just such a weird... There's an immediate and then there's a non-immediate thing. Even with making a TV show. Like, imagine if you spent, like, a whole half a year making a TV show and it got no critical acclaim. Like, fuck, that was a waste of my life.
I was trying. Yeah, exactly. And that's why, I like panel shows. I would love to write a narrative thing one day. But, that's why I do panel shows and stuff, because it's like just doing stand-up, you're just talking. It
seems like there's been a bit of a resurgence in panel shows in Australia at the moment. Because remember, there used to be like, what was it? Rove was huge, and then there was Good News Week was huge. They kind of disappeared, and now there's been like a resurgence. And Have You Been Paying Attention is the obvious example. Usually we have a problem, which you were on recently. How do you find panel shows? Like, so you enjoy?
I really like them. Especially the ones you don't have to prepare for. Like, as in... Usually we have a problem, you don't have to do any prep. Usually for some, they'll let you know what the topics are going to be and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But you kind of don't, you just sit down and start. It's kind of like a podcast. And you record for, that one you record for like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And then, or like 2 hours or something, and then they edit it down to an hour. But it's fun. Like, that was really fun. And I spent most of the time just sitting next to Judith Lucy staring at it, just going like, oh my God. Because it is still, I'm still at that, I'm not, I accept that, like, if you like comedy, if you know comedy in Australia, you'll probably at least know of me.
That's very modest. I think they'll definitely know who
No,
you
but
are.
I know that I'm not famous. Like, and I'm not being like, I'm not famous, tell me I'm famous. I know that I'm not, because it's like, I'm that type of thing where, people will think that they went to school with me or something. Like, it's that, they don't, like, I'm not like a name, but I'm happy to, like, I think comedy fans know me. Regular people that just watch Channel 10 don't. And so I'm kind of the person on the show that like, who's this person?
I don't know, maybe like in a particular demographic, but I know like people who are my age, like in their early 20s are definitely aware of you. And I've got like friends who aren't so into comedy, but they're aware of who you are and what you do type thing.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I think.
But I don't think I have that like fame. Like I think that comes with, you know.
Who's an example of a comedian who would have that in Australia, do you think?
Like Matt O'Kane. Like what comes from, you know, when he worked at Triple J for so long, there's this zeitgeistness about him where when we have walked around together at festivals, he gets stopped a lot. Whereas I get like, you have to be around a festival for me. Like out the front of a venue or something for people to go, oh, it's blah, blah, blah.
You're standing in front of your poster.
Yeah, exactly.
And pointing.
But there was a reason we started talking about this.
Well, I think as well, but what about with like the marriage plebiscite stuff? You were very vocal on that, and I remember like you were very prolific across that whole debate, and like I think people have said like you were perhaps one of the reasons why there was a yes vote. You definitely don't.
Everybody not.
I mean, everyone was
just kind of tapping away. I think like there was this big bit of marble, and there was just a lot of people. Like I think
you were prominent in that whole thing though.
I was trying to be, but not. I don't think, you know, there were. I think in order to be prominent properly, you would need to have changed a mind, and I think I was preaching to the choir in retrospect. Like
okay.
Because if you look at other than the project thing, I think that was alright. Like for people that know, like I was on the project and I didn't know, and I was down the line like via satellite. And the Prime Minister just decided to stay on the panel. Yeah. And so I decided at the end of my segment to ask him about marriage equality. Yeah, I was
pupils started dilating.
I was pretty excited about it. But also you don't like. I think it helps here. We're lucky that I could get away with that. If someone had done that in America or the UK, like it's a very different thing. Like, I think in a way, and this sounds terrible, but we have a lot less respect for the office.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that works. It's almost vaguely more democratic, I think, because there isn't this kind of, you know, in America it seems like they kind of go, well, he's our president. Whereas here we're like, well, he's a prime minister. Yeah,
he'll be gone in a couple months.
Someone will stab him in the back. But it's not, it's just through our system. And I think it's better because, we respect the system, not the person.
And it's weird because talking about, there is a cult of individualism in Australian politics, and that's kind of like why, like, you think like Kevin Rudd, Malcolm Turnbull, Tony Abbott, they don't really give a shit about the party or the country. It's kind of like for their egos type thing. Yeah. But then in America right now, we talked about this with Caroline Halbman, who works on CNN. She said that with Donald Trump, he's kind of a great example of the power of individualism and this kind of consumer society. They've voted in this reality TV stuff. But people don't want to talk about Trump, like especially in the part of LA that I was in, East LA, which is like super, super liberal. If I like made like a little Trump joke here and there, but well, come on, it's not really like the time to make Trump jokes type thing.
Because I think it's happening to them.
Yeah, I'm from an outsider's perspective, kind of watching,
And it doesn't, like it vaguely affects us, but like, if we're honest, no one's ever gonna bomb us. Like, no one, you know what I mean? Like,
hopefully,
if I die by nuclear attack, it will be because I'm in America or the UK. Like, it's never gonna happen. Yeah. I think things are getting more, because I spent a bit of time in London this year.
Okay,
Things are just getting more tense there as well. Like, also just the city itself. Like, there's acid attacks happening. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, all
that's
these...
fucked. Yeah.
And there's just this kind of vague feeling of, like, what's going on?
Yeah. What's interesting as well, because, like, they call LA the loneliest city in the world because everybody's in their cars constantly. And, like, there's not really that kind of, like, human interaction. But also know that comedians in America are much more inclined to put themselves forward. For instance, I can't imagine you going to a comedy club and be like, okay, I'm this great of a comedian, I do and so on. So in America, the arrogance level is insane. It's huge.
It's nuts, though. I did gigs... I can't remember if we talked about this last year, maybe. But I did gigs in America. I did the Cellar in New York.
Okay, wow.
The Stand.
Yeah.
It was, and I enjoy America. I'm an American citizen.
Yeah.
My dad's American.
Wow.
Got the passport. But it's tough. Like, I'm considered quirky over there.
Yeah, okay.
Which is very funny to me. Like, that. Whereas here, I feel like I'm one of the more mainstreamy. Like, I'm not a mainstream act, but my comedy is pretty mainstream.
Yeah.
And relatable.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas over there, it's like, you're crazy. You talk about mental illness. And also, it's super, I found at least in the clubs, the funniest comedians that I thought, the ones that I thought were the funniest were the women.
Okay, yeah.
Because I just found a lot of the dudes to be really toxically masculine.
Yeah,
kind of,
it's like Joe Rogan type.
yeah, and just kind of would say to audience members, like, do crowd work through. I saw this happen 3 times.
Okay.
Where a guy would talk to a man and
Yeah.
talk about like he'd be like, "Are you here with your woman?"
Oh,
That was always the phrase. "Are you here with your
Heteronormativity
woman?"
is much more prevalent in America than Australia.
Oh
This
yeah,
as
absolutely.
well. Yeah,
but
yeah.
which I don't mind. Like heteronormativity, like it's a part of the world still. But
Yeah.
more the kind of chauvinistic kind of aspects I found kind of interesting.
Gender roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is definitely, it is a weird thing. Kind of in the last few minutes we have here, we haven't even mentioned the show Seminal.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm doing a show.
Seminal, I looked it up in the dictionary last night. It's
It's come.
Seminal is to describe something that heavily influences later developments. Is that correct?
Or yes.
Okay.
But that's the double meaning, or something relating to semen.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's really, I just like doing joke because you have to name it so long before you
Yeah.
even know what it's about.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I knew what this show was about a month and a half ago, and we're
yeah.
half a month into the festival. Sorry, Brisbane Comedy Festival.
You were my trial
It
show.
was not finished. You didn't notice. I just, like, a couple of years ago, the one that got nominated and stuff was called Bonafide, and I literally only called it that so people had to say Bono when they were buying tickets. And I just thought it funny whether people, I think if people know my work, they would get that I mean a double meaning there, just because I thought it was funny to put in a cum joke in there.
Yeah. Also, it's got nothing to do with the show's content in that sense.
No, I mean, in a way, it always ends up kind of doing it. Like,
Yeah, sure.
I'll always write, I'll finish writing it and go like, oh yeah, actually, that does kind of work.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
It's funny where, in retrospect, bona fide, which, means kind of like real and I guess like, proven, was the show that went really well and kind of like opened me up to the industry. So like, it's funny, these kind of like little things and there is like, there's some stuff in this show that is kind of like serious and not Gatsby serious. But there's a couple little things in there that are kind of like oxygen sucking out of the room kind of things. And so that kind of relates to the title a little bit, I guess. But really it is, no one in the comedy festival named their show before it was written.
Yeah.
I mean, after it was written.
Yeah. Well, it's like that kind of like sucking the air out of the room, because I've been in shows where it's like there feels like there's tension in the room and everyone's like almost kind of like begging for a laugh to break the tension. Is that kind of like a skill or a tactic that people will use?
Well, I'm trying it for the first time this year.
Yeah, okay.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Because it is just like, it's something that I don't usually do. And then people can watch it and be like, oh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Rhys Nicholson, 30 minutes have gone by. Any last words, comments, thoughts? Good to be off the phone.
Just good to be out and about, seeing people. No, I don't know. Just come to my show if you want, or if not, go and see Becky Lucas.
No, I would highly recommend to see Rhys Nicholson.
Thanks, man.
I mean,
really appreciate it.
As soon as you go out, I'm chucking you under the bus.
Yeah, I would say it'd be really awkward if you're like, I see what you said anyway. But each to their own.
Rhys, thanks so much for coming in. Seminal is at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Right now, we're almost at the halfway point. You can buy tickets from the Melbourne International Comedy Festival website and visit Rhys in Coburg. Maybe not, shouldn't have plugged whereabouts you live, but enjoy the show. Goodbye.
Bye, Ferg, bye.
Lovely.
There's some
Yeah, it was great.
people you ought to know. Don't worry because he will say hello for you. Yeah.